What's up, everybody? It's your favorite show, Get a Bucket. I'm your host, Trey, and as usual, hope you're all having a wonderful, wonderful day. Today, we're going to talk about here the Final Four wish list, at least mine. And we're going to cover the men and women's side. We're going to do both. We're going to cover both. We're going to be gentlemen today and start it off with the women. But quick little disclaimer. I like my wish list. Like, my Final Four wish list. It's based on entertainment, right? Stars. I'm not giving you my prediction. It's called my wish list. So not too much harshness. But with that being said, though, I got a couple of teams I want to throw at y'all. Let's see how this lands, right? So again, we're talking about the women's Final Four. Notre Dame, UConn, USC, UCLA, South Carolina, and of course, my Blue Devils. All 6 teams have been getting a bucket this year. All 6 teams have been able to stop teams from getting a bucket this year. Like, let's look at a team like UConn, right? UConn is actually boasting the number 1 draft pick in this upcoming draft in Paige Bueckers. Now, UConn lost to Notre Dame, USC, Tennessee, right? Notre Dame and USC were rated in the top 10. You know what I'm saying? That's not bad losses. Tennessee's in the top 15. Like, UConn has played pretty well, and they played a lot of ranked teams, by the way. It's only 3 losses. We can say the same for a lot of these teams. USC, UCLA, South Carolina. Very few losses. It's kind of tough to go. It's kind of tough to bet against them. I can't lie to you. A team like Notre Dame, they actually boast 2 potential top 3 draft picks, depending on what big board you're looking at, right? That's not bad. That's not bad at all. They've had a couple of losses, like a TCU, NC State, Florida State. They recently lost to Duke in the conference tournament, okay? So that did kind of drop them. But before that Duke loss, ladies and gentlemen, they were viewed pretty highly, okay, in the top 3. So, again, this Notre Dame squad, they're pretty stout. And, again, they have 2 potential top 3 draft picks. And their most scariest player might even be a sophomore. So, again, you got to look at teams like Notre Dame, like Hannah Hidalgo, Olivia Miles, Citron's out there even getting a bucket. Notre Dame's a good squad. And like I said, ladies and gentlemen, I like entertainment, and entertainment comes stars. And I mentioned the draft picks, right? Even with USC. Okay, well, we know JuJu Watkins is on there. They also got Kiki Iriafen, who's a top 5 potential draft pick this year. They did lose to, like, Notre Dame. Okay, yes, they did lose to Iowa, and that one was, I don't know about that. But they did also beat UCLA twice, who, again, UCLA is the number 1 team. And they've been the number 1 team a couple of times this season. So USC, again, they fit the mold of top, or at least entertainment-wise. UCLA, I put money on them for FanDuel, and I got to say, FanDuel has been loving UCLA this year. So they, like I said, they've been number 1 most of the year. They're number 1 currently. They've only lost to USC. Granted, USC did own them this year, but they did win that final meeting. So that does tell me UCLA does have a little pride. And keep in mind, too, that was during the conference tournament. So they had a little bit more weight to it than the regular season. Now, you want to talk about teams like South Carolina, right? Because those are the repeats. We've heard them. We've seen them before. Main reason why I would put them there is because of Dawn Staley. Now, they are number 2. And, again, they have lost only 3 games. They did lose to UCLA, Texas, although they beat them twice as well, and then UConn. I do see them losing consistently to teams like a UConn because, I think the talent is a little bit higher there. I do see South Carolina a little vulnerable. I'm not gonna lie to y'all, but I would be lying if I said I'd be mad if South Carolina made it to the Final Four. Same with all of these teams. And, of course, I got to save my Blue Devils for last because there's a world where Duke men and women's can win a championship this season. It'd be kind of cool to see, right? It'd be very cool to see. But Kara Lawson, ladies and gentlemen, she's been doing a wonderful job coaching this Duke team. And it's a very young squad, too. So over the next couple seasons, we'll actually be able to see Kara Lawson flourish as a coach, determine how good of a coach she actually is. Again, it's over the next couple of years. Right now, if this team makes it to the Final Four, I think it's a bit premature. That would be pretty interesting. And again, there is a world where both Duke teams can win the championship this season, which the last time that was done was UConn, I want to say 2001. Like, it's been a minute. It's been a really long minute. Keep in mind, though, UConn did something that we did, which was win back-to-back. So it's only fair that we return the favor. You know what I'm saying? But again, though, my wish list for the Final Four consists of those 6 teams, ladies and gentlemen: Notre Dame, UConn, USC, UCLA, South Carolina, and Duke. If any of those teams get to the Final Four, the majority of those teams get to the Final Four, I'll be happy. And I do predict a good amount of those teams to get to the Final Four. So, but we'll see what happens, though, because again, like I said, this is my wish list. It hasn't happened yet. Let's go ahead and move on down, though, to the men's, though. Like I said, I'm going to start off with the women because we're gentlemen. But now we're going to talk about the men's Final Four wish list. I have to emphasize that wish list. And again, reminder, this is about the entertainment. Y'all heard me when I was talking about the women. I'm looking for stars. I'm looking for storylines, those sort of things. So with that being said, I would like to see Kentucky, Baylor, Alabama, Michigan State, Auburn, and of course, my Blue Devils, because those would be entertaining teams to see in the Final Four. Let's go ahead and talk about them, shall we? Let's go ahead and give the honorable mentions, I guess. Kentucky, one. FanDuel, I felt like, Calipari might have a chip on his shoulder this season with Kentucky, okay? And as a result, maybe they do something this season. As a result, though, he did leave, right? Shout out to Cal. I did meet you earlier. But, yeah, you did dip. So, as a result, it would be cool to see Kentucky get there from a FanDuel perspective. But then also, seeing that Cal left, I think it would be interesting, an interesting storyline. You also got Baylor, right? You have a player by the name VJ Edgecombe, ladies and gentlemen. If you haven't heard him, please do so and look him up now. He is a lottery pick. I'm talking about top 10, maybe even top 5. Like, that's what we're talking about here, okay? You also have Jeremy Roach, who, believe it or not, was on my Blue Devils before. So it's a little bit of bias here. It's a little bit. I'll give you that. But they can still play. They have had an up and down season, I'll give you. But they also do have players who have prior Final Four experience, which was on that Miami squad. So I will say Baylor does have a shot at having a solid storyline, and they do have the talent to get them to the Final Four. If they can cultivate that properly, we might have something. Let's go ahead and go to Alabama, though, because Alabama's been a top 10 team a good part of the season so far. And they've been very battle tested. I gotta admit, like, they've bested 2 number 1 team. Oh, no, I'm sorry, Auburn at the end of the season. And then they beat the number 2 and number 3 ranked teams before the conference tournament. That ain't bad. Keep in mind, too, ladies and gentlemen, Alabama is a senior-led squad. And let's go ahead and throw this out there, too. Maybe this is a little bias on my part. Chris Youngblood, off the name alone, Youngblood, right? I can hear that being thrown around in March Madness. So off of that stuff, I can definitely see, and this is my wish list, Alabama being in the Final Four. It'd be kind of cool to see that. And again, based on the season, too, I think they'd provide the entertainment. Michigan State is another team where, you got a quality head coach. Shout out to Tom Izzo. He's led his team to the Final Four a couple of years, right? His team's also in the top 10. And when I look at his Michigan State's schedule, they've battled 8 ranked opponents, lost once. That ain't bad. And we also got to talk about Jason Richardson's son, Jace Richardson, who actually can get a bucket pretty well, and he's a lottery pick his damn self. So again, ladies and gentlemen, Michigan State, when I'm thinking of coach, team, potential star player, especially in college, Michigan State has it. And typically they get to the Final Four. So I'd be curious to pay attention to them. And again, they're a top 10 team. I have high expectations. Auburn is another team that I want to see get to the Final Four because they do have a player of the year candidate in Johnny Broome. And they were the former number 1 team. Again, Alabama beats them, and they move from number 1 to number 3 before the conference tournaments happen. Now, they also had a close loss to my Blue Devils during the season. And they went 10-4 versus ranked teams themselves. So out of 14 ranked teams, they lost 4 times. And one of those were to the current number 1 team before conference play in Duke. That's not bad. And again, a rematch versus Duke and Alabama, I think that could be a wonderful storyline going into the Final Four. And of course, my Blue Devils, Obviously, I said my Blue Devils, so of course it's biased, right? That's my team. But let's talk about it too, though, because we have the number 1 projected NBA draft pick in Cooper Flagg. Then we also got the number 1 ranked team in college basketball. Ladies and gentlemen, if we can't get them in there, I feel like we're losing a little bit of entertainment, don't you? It's like, I think so. And again, I'm biased. But even if I weren't a Duke fan, I think seeing Cooper Flagg in the Final Four is something to watch. Like every top draft pick, I would love to see in the Final Four personally, if we could. Every top draft pick. Rutgers did a disservice because we can't see Dylan Harper and Ace Bailey, but we can see Cooper Flagg. So let's go ahead and do that, right? And again, it just so happened that he chose my boys. But again, ladies and gentlemen, that's my Final Four wish list. And you heard my honorable mentions. It's slightly mixed with a little predictions, but still, though, these are my wish list. And y'all heard the storylines. Y'all heard the entertainment that I'm expecting to see throughout. And again, some of these will translate to the WNBA and NBA drafts coming up. But I want to hear from y'all, too. Who are you all? Well, at least what's your Final Four wish list for the men's and women's Final Four game or tournament? I'm definitely curious to hear that. But please like, subscribe, comment, tell anyone who's anyone about the show. My name is Trey. I'm the host of Get a Bucket. Hope you all are having a good one. Take care.